Our top story is the rare victory lap that Attorney General Garland took in remarks like today. Of the thousands of incidents, crimes, and threats the DOJ and FBI tackle throughout the year, Garland is singling out these 5 new convictions against the violent Oath Keepers, now convicted criminals who stormed the Capitol. This is the DOJ's most significant January 6th court victory thus far.
Early yesterday evening, a jury in the District of Columbia found 5 defendants associated with the Oath Keepers guilty of serious crimes. 2 defendants were convicted of seditious conspiracy. These convictions were the result of tireless work by Justice Department agents, attorneys, analysts, and support staff, beginning in January 2021.
Don't be fooled by his famously sober demeanor. This is a huge deal. And that last point that he made so soberly, it almost could pass you by, we selected it to make sure everyone understands. That last point was bipartisan, because those FBI agents and support staff that he says began this work in January was, of course, while the Trump administration was in office. Many of them stayed on because those civil servants do not rotate with the new administration or the party in power. Some of the prosecutors and the Attorney General himself, of course, did rotate after Biden assumed the presidency, which is linked to these crimes that have now been convicted, because Biden went into the White House precisely because of the defeated, unsuccessful, and now convicted sedition plots which tried to stop the transfer of power. And I'll tell you, there's so much noise out there, including on the topic of January 6th, it's easy to lose sight of which things matter. Let me tell you, as the DOJ marks this big victory, those coup plots matter. Sedition matters. Many other also terrible things went down on the 6th, and there are cases on the violence, the trespassing, the mayhem. But Garland hasn't come out to address the nation about each one of those cases. What matters here is the crowd that Donald Trump summoned and sent to the Capitol is now, I report this as a legal fact tonight, is now part of a convicted sedition conspiracy in the United States. That's just a historical fact. It also vindicates the aggressive sedition case that the DOJ prosecutors, the line prosecutors, the U.S. attorney there in D.C. and elsewhere, and then Garland ultimately signed off on, that assertive strategy. Now just consider, when's the last time anyone was convicted of sedition in the U.S.? Do you know? It's actually been almost 3 decades since a guilty verdict came through for this. So it's rare. It's significant, and it brings accountability and prison terms for these Oath Keepers leaders who sat in court and faced down the prosecutors. They got their day in court. They got a modicum of civilized justice that they wouldn't offer their opponents. They certainly tried to defeat our democracy. But as is so often the case when you look at these kind of heinous crimes, it's the system, when it works, that is more fair, of course, than the felons it may convict. Other members here facing years for obstructing the vote counting, a very literal physical act of trying to overthrow the government of then President-elect Biden. So that accountability matters. And I can tell you, Trump allies are noticing this. They're wondering who else might get busted in what is this new special counsel probe by Jack Smith, the decorated prosecutor whom the AG also cited today.
In the course of deciding on Mr. Smith as special counsel, I did meet with him. He has been meeting with the members of his team to get up to speed. He promised to the American people in his own statement that there would be no pause or hiccup in his work. And I understand that that is exactly what's going on now.
Now, that's a pretty dry kind of answer, non-answer, they would call that, which is appropriate. We're so used to everyone trying to be so exciting because we have this fusion of politics and rhetoric and entertainment that sometimes when you listen to someone like that Attorney General, you think, well, what's he even saying? He's saying very little on purpose. I want to bring in Neil Katyal, who has been a Solicitor General for the Obama administration and knows the DOJ well. What do you see as significant in what Garland said today?
Well, Garland is not a guy who seeks the spotlight. But that conference to me is telling, because these convictions really warrant a celebration for the Justice Department and for the rule of law more generally. I mean, you just called it a huge deal, and that's exactly right. I mean, seditious conspiracy convictions are a really big deal. It's one of the most serious crimes in our entire United States Code. And as you say, it's very rare to have people convicted of it.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber. Thanks for watching The Beat. I wanted to let you know I'm writing a foreword to the January 6th committee's full report, which is coming out soon from HarperCollins. You can go pre-order the book right now, and it'll come to you first when the report comes out in the fall or whenever the government releases it. Just search Melber Jan 6 on Amazon or your favorite independent book site and click pre-order. You'll be the first to get both the report and my new piece on the coup conspiracy. You can also go to melberbook.com and order it there.